every industry, well, most industries, well, actually every industry has had an impact of lockdown, whether it's beneficial or not. I know mum, who I interviewed yesterday, she's obviously had a lot more clients because of mental health situations. But for the aviation industry, I mean, flights are grounded, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think people are more worried, well, maybe are really worried about the fact they can't go overseas because there's a lot of border closures, the fact that flights aren't going anywhere, the fact they can't go on their holidays. But when we think about the people that are on the planes, I mean, there's a lot more cabin crew than there are pilots.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people know more cabin crew than
Yeah.
they do pilots. But for the pilots, I mean, for the company that you were with, a lot of the pilots were made redundant, right?
Yeah. Yeah. About three, I think 300 odd, which is a tenth of the pilots, 10%.
And that kind of differed between companies, didn't it?
Yeah, a few companies haven't made people redundant, use the government scheme. Other companies, but these are things, obviously I've got an opinion, which I probably won't say, but ultimately decision, these sometimes things you can't control. And another thing we say as pilots, control the controllables. I can't control how the company are going to act. So of course, I think my time in the industry, probably like most people in the corporate world, ultimately companies are going to be focusing on the money they made, and unfortunately you are just a number. And a lot of people are kind of like, no, they care, we got this email, is rubbish. It is rubbish. But the thing is, where I think other people, where I sort of took it differently is, when I'm working, I know I'm a number. I know they don't care about me. And, at the start, after 6 months working your first job, it hurts a little bit. You want to be working for a company that cares about you. You want to be working for a company that has a mission. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, these lot don't care. They don't care about my life. They don't care I'm in debt. They don't care this. They don't care. But when you know where you stand, it's so much easier. So what I'm trying to say is, being made redundant, a lot of people were shocked, which sparks opinion, emotion. They shouldn't have done it this way. They should have done it this way. All waste time. I knew I was, not cared about. I'm not trying to get sympathy. They don't care about me, but I also don't, I care about them. Look, when I'm working, I'll do a good job, but I don't care about them, because they don't care about me. So it was quite easy. I'm redundant. Or in fact, even before I got made redundant, I think the company came out with like a letter of, noticing that you might be made redundant, kind of like as soon as this sparked, it's an opportunity. So as soon as that letter came out, I thought, right, I'm redundant. I've got to think on my own 2 feet and get something done. And there was a period between March and August when I got made redundant, which is quite a long time. A lot of people were sitting there humming, are we going to get made redundant? Are we not? I was there saying, look, guys, we're going to get made redundant. Think now, kind of thing. So I bought myself a bit of time, which a lot of people didn't do. So I just kind of cut it off. And then August came, we got about 3 months salary, and then that's it. So yeah, I can't even remember what the question was.
Well, no, I mean you've answered the question. I think what about people that you know? What about your friends that you were at flight school with and stuff? Are they in the same situation as you?
A few people, different companies, have still got their job. They're not flying as much. They're on like a part-time wage. But I think the people that I know, everyone's struggling a lot. Everyone's struggling a lot. I know a lot of suicides and stuff like that, which is kind of why Pointless Plants last night, we sent an email out just to make sure, just to say to our customers, look, we're here to talk, not even about plants, not about orders. If you want to talk as a human, we're here, and we've got a team, we'll support you. And we've got an amazing following, 100, nearly 110,000. Imagine if we could just help 2 or 3 people just talking. So yeah, I've known a lot of suicides in the aviation industry. I think everyone's struggling. I think it is a good reality check, because there are so many times where I'm flying, and I'd get £4,000 or £5,000 after tax a month, and I'd work 10 days a month, and it was really easy, and I was very, very comfortable. And you're still moaning that you want more, because it's human nature. You just get used to it. It's normal. You live your life. And then now, a lot of my mates are working in supermarkets, which is not a problem. Like, I started in a supermarket. I used to work at Waitrose, but it doesn't pay the bills like pilot job used to. So I think it's a good reality check. There's a few people looking at. I think there's one joining the police. Other airlines, I've applied to other airlines. A few of them have as well. But like a friend of mine got a simulator assessment, and then this new strain of COVID comes out. Suddenly not interested. So the industry is pretty hard at the moment. But I think it'll recover. People want to travel. It's just going to take time, and I think that there will be a new normal with contracts. Unfortunately, it is a business to make money. There are a lot of old contracts where it didn't work for the airlines, and ultimately it's the customer that's driving what they want. They want cheap prices and quick flights, and that's what's going to lead the market. And the only way to get cheap flights is to have cheaper people working for you, right? So I know everyone goes, oh, at the end, look, I know everyone says about, oh, we want the world to be like this and like this and like this. And then you go and buy the £1 chicken from Asda that's been bred on like.
You vote with your money. Yeah, you vote with your money for sure.
So if people were buying business class and wanted the nice flights and were prepared to pay extra, they're voting, with their money, and that's what matters at the end of the day to these big companies. So.
And I think when we were speaking before about perceptions of pilots, and especially captains, I think some people might not know the difference, but obviously a captain is a lot more experienced than a pilot. They've had a lot more years. And a lot of them they have been in the company for so long. And even some of those were made redundant. Is that right?
Captains, I don't know. I don't think captains were made redundant, but I think they were not forced, but encouraged to take a voluntary redundancy if they only had a few years left, I think.
Yeah, because I think some of what our conversations have been over lockdown have been about the mental well-being. And I think it's a kind of common thing that I think is going to come up in most of the conversations that I'm going to have. But like, because there is such a perception that pilots are rich and all of this, now that either pilots or captains, whoever it is, don't have this income that's coming in and don't have the kind of solid travel market, so things are unpredictable. And you mentioned about suicides and like the poor mental health of other pilots, like because the expectation's so high, and because the lifestyle for some people used to be so good, and now it's kind of just dropped. And you've got to remember, like, some of these people were the sole earners for their family because they were on such a high salary, and that kind of left them. So they kind of went from like a really good job, like top job, to just nothing overnight. And that is tricky.
I like, then you can question, is that ethical, or you can question, were they unprepared, what you're supposed to prepare for. I kind of think what wasn't done, I think companies should use the government schemes. I know a lot of friends that are still on government schemes, furlough schemes. We never got any of it. We just got cut, which is, I don't really want to say an opinion, because I would take my job back, and just because I need the rent to be paid. And it is a good money. And I obviously have career ambitions as well as business ambitions. But yeah,